guys, Absolute Duelist here, coming at you with a new One Piece video, and in today's One Piece video, I have for you a new One Piece deck profile. Now, this is a deck profile on a deck that I've really been enjoying that has come out on OP06, and that is Perona. Now, Perona is a really cool new leader that came out in OP06 that is a 5k leader, of course, green-black, and has the ability to rest a 4-cost or low character or give one of your opponent's characters -1 cost. Now, this leader is very cool for a lot of reasons. One, having the ability to rest characters is absolutely insane. You can go ahead and rest blockers to go ahead and get over them. You can go ahead and swing into leader much easier. You can rest characters to swing into said characters. Like, you can do a lot with Perona because of this one ability. And she also has on top of that the ability to decrease by 1 cost if you don't want to go ahead and rest a character. So she's a very good utility leader. But I've been testing this leader, and I have been really enjoying it. I took it to locals, and I think I came 2nd or 3rd with it at locals, my first OP06 locals with an OP06 deck, and I did really well. And I've been playing against a lot of different decks. I've been playing against Sakazukis, I've been playing against Reijus, I've been playing against Red Purple Laws, I've been playing against Katakuris, all in real life, just testing this deck and really enjoying it. And I think I've got a build here that works really well, and isn't one that I think a lot of people actually play, because the build that seems to be the most represented of this deck in like top cuts and stuff is the Doflamingo build, where you play like Baby 5 to search out certain cards and get to the 10-drop Dofi, where you rest a character, lock them down for a turn, and then play from there. Now, I'm not playing that kind of build. My build is more kind of similar to Sakazuki, where you want to go ahead and remove characters, build up your board slowly, and then just start running them down until they're dead. And I think this deck is a very good way to do that, and it's not as good as Sakazuki. Sakazuki obviously does have the ability to trash cards from hand to go ahead and, you know, control the board with cards that are in trash and then also in hand to go ahead and utilize a load of different things. But I think Perona has a lot going for her in the fact of just being able to rest characters is really strong. Like, say that they've got a blocker on the board, you can go ahead and rest it, swing it to life. Say that they've got a character that's really annoying that you want to kind of beat into. Say they've got Kuzan, for instance, you can go ahead and rest that Kuzan and then put like as many Don as you want on Perona and then swing into the Kuzan to either make them waste a couple of cards in hand or lose the Kuzan. So there's a lot of good things with Perona, which I really do like, and I've been testing, and I think I've come up with a build that personally I really like, I'm really happy with, and we're going to get ahead into a deck profile now and show you what that build is. So just a reminder, this is more of a Navy-centric Perona build, where we're playing a lot of Navy cards to utilize them to decrease costs and KO characters. So let's go ahead and get into the build. So starting off, we obviously play the main Navy card that we want in this deck, which is 4 Branu. Now, Branu is obviously a very important card in this deck because Branu is essentially your searcher. He is your turn 1 play that you're going to play every game, no matter what. Like, you want to be able to see this card in your opening hand because he's going to allow you to search out like X-Drakes, 2k counters, the decreased cost cards. Like, he can search pretty much everything in this deck, and it's really useful for that. And he's also a 3k that so you can go ahead and utilize him to swing into life, which does come up at times. Not a lot from what I've seen, but he does get utilized like that as well from what my testing has done. So you want to be playing 4 of him. Next, we play the only other card that really draws us cards outside of maybe some decreased cards like Great Eruption, which is Kuzan. Kuzan is a very good card. He's a beat stick. Has the ability to draw you a card. He also has the ability to decrease characters by 4 cost. So if you're up against something like Katakuri, for instance, that you need to go ahead and swing to go ahead and decrease a cost on the board, so you can go ahead and rest that character to then go ahead and KO something like a Ryuma or an X-Drake, Kuzan is your man for that because he gets you to the position where you can do that, and he's just very useful. I wouldn't run more than 2 of him though, just because the deck has a problem with like counter at times, where you want to have like cards in hand to counter to protect your life, so that way you can keep playing the game and get to the point where you can go ahead and rush down your opponent. So you want to be playing like as many non-counter cards as possible that are useful, but you need a load of counter as well just to kind of justify your life, right? So we play 2 of the Kuzan. He's very useful. He replaces himself in hand. He decreases cost, like, and he also beats sticks. Like, he's just a very, very good card as well. Next 4 cards that will actually be doing the KOing in the deck, we've got 4 Ryuma. Ryuma is an absolutely insane card. What Ryuma essentially does is, on play, KO up to one of your opponent's rested 4 cost or lower characters. So great with Perona, right, where you can go ahead and rest a character, play Ryuma, and KO that character. This card is amazing against a lot of different decks, and being a 6k character as well just gives him that ability to not die as easily to a lot of swings as well. And a lot of the time, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I end up playing Ryuma, KOing a character, and then just start swinging 7s with him every single turn, and that just decreases the opponent's hand to the point where they can't really survive anymore. So he's just a very, very good beat stick that also has removal built into him. And the very rare thing that does come up on occasion is he also has the ability to KO when he dies. So if they swing into him with, say, like a 4-cost character, call it a Rob Lucci or maybe a Perospero, then they're going to lose that character on top of that. So Ryuma gives you that additional bit to just get that removal even if they try to kill him. So he's a very, very strong card overall, which I really, really like. Next, we're playing 4 X-Drake. X-Drake is another very, very good card here, where he essentially does the same thing as Ryuma, where on play he kills a 4 cost or less, but he also has counter built into him, so he's a 5 cost, and he has the additional benefits of being a Navy card, which is absolutely insane. Him being a Navy card means that we can search him off brand new, giving us a searchable way to KO stuff, which is very, very important. He's 6k as well, so being able to swing 7s every turn with him is very, very good. And also, if you are off curve where you're going second, then he's just very useful because you can go ahead and play him right after they play their 4 cost, so you can go ahead and KO any 4 cost they play. So he's just a very, very useful card overall, and definitely one of the better cards in the deck. Being searchable and also having counter is always going to be good. Next, we play 2 Brook. Now, Brook is a 2-of just because he's a 6 cost, so it is a little like unfortunate when we want to play him, because we mainly play this card for one reason and one reason alone: his ability to go ahead and trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Now, this gets round the ability to have to rest the character, so you can go ahead and put that additional decrease effect of Perona into it, where you can decrease it by 1 cost if you do need that additional decrease. But Brook is actually an insanely good card. This card allows you to get around Subos, this card allows you to get around Borsalinos, this card allows you to get around any card that basically says I can't be KO'd. Brook is that card, he is that guy. He just allows us to get round the problem cards, and he's mainly utilized when we do go up against a black deck or a deck that does have a cards that are very hard to remove, such as Borsalino and Sabo. So he's just a very, very useful card overall, and another one of those removals in the deck that just really does help. I kind of wish we had more cards that were characters that could get rid of 4 cost or lower characters, because I do find at times that we don't have enough of these characters where they get rid of them. But I feel like if I upped something like Brook, for instance, I would not have enough space for counter, and we do still need to that counter. So I feel like 10 is kind of like the sweet spot where you're always going to see at least maybe 1 to 2 of your KO cards in your opening hand, just to go ahead and be able to control the board a bit, which is very, very good. So we play 2 Brook for that reason. Brook also has a second ability as well, where you can, your opponent places 3 cards from their trash at the bottom of their deck in any order. We never use that ability, but if you ever do find that maybe needing to come in handy, you can do that as well if you want. But he is purely here in this deck to KO your opponent's characters. That's his purpose, that's his life, and he goes ahead and sends them straight to trash, gets around Borsalinos, Subos, and he's just very, very strong for that. And also, if we got annoying 5 cost on the board, send it to trash without having to rest, right? Because we can decrease it with the Perona, which is very, very good. So that's kind of all the cards that are going into the deck to kind of remove things. We don't have anything else really. I wish I had more, just because there are times where we could utilize more, we could go ahead and play more, but I just wish kind of that we had more lower costing cards that did the same thing as like Ryuma, but we don't, sadly, so we have to play what we play. But that's kind of like all the removal and the consistency kind of cards. Let's go on to the blockers now. So for blockers, we're playing 4 Rosinante. Rosinante is very, very good. He's a 2-cost blocker that's Navy, Don Quixote family, and also has an additional ability that says if a rested character would be KO'd, you can just send him to trash instead and protect that character. So if you've got a really big body on the board, or you've got a card that would be dying by an ability, you can just go ahead and trash Rosinante and protect it. And the good thing with this, and this is apparently a ruling that does actually work, is if your opponent plays something like Rob Lucci and they're targeting this and another card you control, you can just trash this if the card's rested and protect that card. So this is actually a very good, just like overall in one piece, because it gives you double protection and double like resilience in some ways as well, which is just very, very good, being a blocker and to protect anything from something that could KO, which is very, very good there. So we play 4 Rosinante. Next we play the best black blocker in the game, 4 Borsellino. What do you want from me? He can't be KO'd. He's very, very strong. He's got a 6k blocker and a 4k stat line, and he has 1k counter. I don't think I have to really explain why we're playing full Borsellino. He is absolutely insane. And then the last blocker we're playing is 2 Subbo. Subbo is an interesting one. I play Subbo purely for the fact that he does give the protection effect, and he also kind of fixes my hands at times, because of sometimes in this deck you do just get hands where you don't have any counter in them, and you kind of need to draw cards to get out that situation, or you don't have anything to remove things. So I drop down the Subbo, draw 2, trash 2 cards that I don't need, be it like maybe an additional Ryuma, or maybe something like, I don't know, an addition, a 2 cost that I want to get in trash for some reason, for cards in later in the game like Gecko Moria. Like, Subbo allows us to go ahead and get that set up. He's also a blocker that gives protection as well, which is very, very nice, and he's also got the 1k counter, which is just very good. So we play 2 Subbo for that, which is nice, and that's kind of all the blockers we play. I think 10 is more than enough for blockers overall. If I did get more cards that could KO, I would probably maybe cut a Rosinante or the Subbos just to kind of fit more in, but I'm happy with what we've got right now. Next, for the biggest boy in our deck, we play 4 Gecko Moria. This is a new card in OP06. This card is absolutely insane. On play, choose up to 1 4-cost or lower character and 1 2-cost or lower character, and play one of them rested and one of them not rested, and then you get to go ahead and use their on-play abilities. This card allows us to bring back our Branu to go ahead and get an additional search. It gets back Ryuma to get an additional pop. It gets back Borsellino, for instance, just to go ahead and give it an additional blocker. Can bring back Rosinante with Borsellino to have double protection. The card is very, very good, and I really do like this card overall. So we want to be playing 4 of it in the deck because it just does a lot overall. So we play 4 of him because of that. And then for the 2k counters in the deck, we are playing quite a heavy 2k counter package in this format, just because Yamato's around. We're playing 4 Suru because she's decreased, she's Navy, she can be searched off Branu. Like, there's no real bad reason. Like, decreasing by 2 cost is very, very strong, and then also being a 2k counter on top is very nice. We also play 4 Tashigi because Tashigi is essentially the same thing, but she costs a little more, decreased by 2 cost, but you can do it every single turn. So they will normally try to kill this, like, so you can look at this like a blocker that can also decrease cost, which is very, very nice. And then we also play 3 Virgo because Virgo is also a Navy card, is a 2k counter, and it's actually a body we could play if we don't really have any other options, just to go ahead and get those bodies on the board to start swinging into life. That's kind of all the 2Ks we play. Like, 11 2Ks I think is enough. Like, you could easily bump this up to 12 by putting the 4th Virgo in, but I'm happy with playing this number right now, just to have the 2Ks in hand to go ahead and prevent us losing to just Yamato out of nowhere, right? Because if we start off with, like, the Rosinante, we're going to play that, but if we don't have it, then we do need the 2Ks to kind of, like, keep us alive a bit, right? And then on to events we play the 4 Grey Eruption, decrease by 2 and draw a card. It's essentially Upstart Goblin, and if we're up against like Sakazuki decks or stuff like anything with just like less like decks that focus on low cost characters, this is just a draw, which is pretty good. So this can be a turn 1 play if you're up against that kind of deck, but it's mainly there just to decrease cost so we can get around these characters, rest them, and then KO them with Ryuma, X-Drake, anything along those lines, which is very, very strong. Next we also play 3 Ice Age. I play 3 Ice Age because it doesn't draw a card, but it does do the good thing of getting us to decrease by 5 cost. So this allows us to get rid of 9-drop Yamatos, it gets rid of 8-cost Katakuris, it gets rid of any high-costing character really in the game. So we play 3 of it. It's a very, very good card, just being able to decrease 5 cost for 1 Don, and also having trigger KO of a rest, well, KO a 3-cost or less character. Like, this card is very, very strong, but it kind of doesn't do anything against decks like Zoro or decks like, I don't know, like weaker decks like Sakazuki, for instance, it rarely comes up against them. Like if they play Moria, we can go ahead and drop the Ice Age to deal with it, but if they don't play that, if they don't do anything with that and just keep playing like small bodies like Rebecca's and Robluchis, this card doesn't really do a lot. But the card is very good against like Katakuri, it's good against Reiju to deal with like literally HGs and stuff like that. Like the card is just a very good card overall, so I don't think I would cut it down from 3. Hell, I could even probably cut a Great Eruption and put in another Ice Age, just because that 5 decrease can be very good against those higher cost decks, which is very, very good. And then the last 2 cards we're playing is 2, because the side of justice will be whichever side wins. This is just a 0 cost event. Like this card is basically in the deck because, as I said, we play a lot of non-counter cards. Like we're playing Brooks, we're playing the Morias, we're playing Ryumas, we're playing like the events, the Ice Ages, and the Great Eruptions. This card is essentially our way of just like playing something to make those into counter. And yes, I know this is like a 2-of standard in the Do Flamingo build deck, but like this card is just a good card overall. Like 0 cost event, we're playing a lot of non-counter cards. This card does come up a lot of times, and also if they swing for 7, well, I make this and a card that doesn't have counter into a 2k and a 1k counter. So like this is just a very good card overall, and I don't think I would cut it at all. But yeah guys, that is the build. Like this is my Perona list. I really do like this deck. It's so much fun to play, so much fun to pilot, and it really just comes down to a game where whoever can essentially control the board better is going to win that game. And against Sakazuki's, I've got like an 80% win rate as long as I do see Ryumas and obviously things to remove their board. Against stuff like Katakuri, it's more like a 70% win rate right now from what I've got so far. I do lose some games and that can be a little annoying, but it's fine. Against like any other decks, the win rate is pretty high. Like Red Purple Law, I don't think I've lost a single game, so I've got 100% win rate against that. Against Moria, I've got 100% win rate against that as well. Like this deck is just really fun to play and really strong. So like just from my experience testing it with real physical cards and playing it on the sim and just doing everything along those lines, and also taking it to locals and coming like 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember which one it was one of the 2. Sorry that I haven't got the exact rating, but we went X1 at locals, and I'm pretty sure we either came 2nd or 3rd. I just can't remember the exact spot because it was a few days ago, and we do have content of gameplay for this as well, guys, so keep an eye out for that. But guys, tell me your thoughts are on this deck profile in the comment section below. Do you like this build? Do you hate this build? Do you think you would change anything in this build? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Absolute Duelist signing out. Later.